rectangular arrays. One that shows 6 and another that shows 8. How many rows do you see in our first rectangular array? Say it out loud. Right, 2 rows. 1, 2. And how many in each row? Say it out loud. Right, 3. 1, 2, 3. And how many in total? Say it out loud. Right, 6. And is 6 an even or an odd number? Say it out loud. I bet you said even. How do you know? Say your answer out loud. I bet you said that you know 6 is even because it can be put into pairs with none left over. How many tiles in this array? Say it out loud. Right, 8. And is 8 odd or even? I bet you said even. How do you know? Say it out loud. Right, it can be put into pairs with none left over. Each of our tiles has a partner or a pair. Look what happens when I put these 2 rectangular arrays together. How many tiles do we have in all? Say it out loud. I bet you said 14. You're right, because 6 plus 8 equals 14. Is 14 an odd or even number? Say it out loud. Right, even. How do you know that it's an even number? Say it out loud. I bet you said you know that 14 is an even number because it can be put into pairs with none left over. Nice work. Let's try one more. Let's show a rectangular array like this, and another one like this. How many in our first rectangular array? Say it out loud. Right, 2. And is 2 odd or even? I bet you said even. How do you know that 2 is an even number? I bet you said you know because it's in a pair and there are none left over. How many in this rectangular array? Say it out loud. I bet you said 4. And is 4 even or odd? Right, even. How do you know that 4 is an even number? I bet you said 4 is an even number because there are rows of 2 and each one has a pair. Now let's put them together. What is 2 plus 4? Say it out loud. Right, 6. And is 6 odd or even? And how do you know? I bet you said 6 is an even number because our rectangular array is in rows and all have pairs. There are none left over, so it's even. What does this tell us about adding 2 even numbers together? Say your answer out loud. I bet you said that when we add 2 even numbers together, we will get an even number because it makes equal groups or pairs with none left over. Let's try another one. Now let's see what happens when we add 2 odd numbers. many tiles do you see? Say it out loud. Right, 3. And is 3 even or odd? Say it out loud. Right, it's odd. How do you know that 3 is an odd number? I bet you said you know that 3 is an odd number because when we try to put it into pairs, there is 1 left over. Now, look at this. How many tiles do you see? Say it out loud. Right, 5. And is 5 even or odd? I bet you said odd. How do you know that 5 is an odd number? Say your answer out loud. I bet you said that 5 is an odd number because when we put it into pairs, there is 1 left over. Watch what happens when we add 2 odd numbers together. What do you notice? Say it out loud. I bet you said that when we put 2 odd numbers together, we got an even number because each odd number had 1 left over, and when we put them together, now they have a pair. So 5 plus 3 equals? Right, 8. And is 8 even or odd, and how do you know? I bet you said even, because they are in groups of 2 and each one has a pair. So now we know that an odd number plus an odd number gives us an even number. Let's try another one. Let's see what happens when we add an even number to an odd number. How many rectangles do you see? Say it out loud. Right, 4. And is 4 an even or an odd number? I bet you said even. How do you know that 4 is an even number? I bet you said you know that 4 is an even number because when we put it into groups or rows of 2, there are none left over. Every rectangle has a partner. How many rectangles do you see here? I bet you said 7. And is 7 an even or an odd number? And how do you know? Say your answer out loud. I bet you said 7 is an odd number, and you know because when we try to make groups of 2, there is 1 left over that doesn't have a pair or a partner. When I put these tiles together, will it make an even or odd number? I bet you said odd. Why did it make an odd number? Say your answer out loud. I bet you said it made an odd number because there is 1 left over that doesn't have a pair. So now we know that 4 plus 7 equals? Right, 11. And you told me that 11 is an odd number because there's 1 left over that doesn't have a pair. What does this tell us about adding even numbers to odd numbers? Say your answer out loud. I bet you said that this tells us that when we add an even number to an odd number, we will get an odd number because there will be 1 left over. When you're working today, I want you to pay attention to see if this is always true, like it was when we added 2 even numbers. Think about the work that we did together today. How do rectangular arrays help us add odd and even numbers? When you're ready to respond, click the arrow to move to the next slide to type or record your answer.